and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream here on the Bow Wow Bill Show. We are international today. We have a young lady from across the pond in the UK. Everybody say hey to Gayle. Hey, Gayle.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Had a rough night with the puppy barking and trying to not be in a crate all night.
Well, that's every new puppy.
Yeah, just acclimated to her new home. She just got her a couple days ago, and I decided to get a new puppy to actually take through Gold School in April, and so I'm going to be working with her. And it's so funny. We were just talking, and Gayle's like, "You look like you still have the Silver School glow."
Yes, you definitely do. You
What does that
definitely do.
mean?
You still got Bart and Michael's magic shining from your eyes.
Cigarette butts. I got cigarettes in my eyes.
Yes. Yes, you have. You have. You look like you've had your mind blown.
I've had my mind blown. I've just made a lot of connections, and as somebody that's been in the industry for quite some time and worked with, thousands of dogs, you see certain patterns that pop up in behavior, especially the stuff that you want to improve. And anytime that I see a dog that is acting with gusto and with, as Bart says, heart and soul, I just love it. And that's one of the things that attracted me to the Silver School was I saw Bart at the IACP conference, International Association of Canine Professionals here in America, and I guess they're doing a UK. They're starting to bring about a UK conference.
They're organising it, yeah.
Yeah.
They're organising it at the moment.
So,
so you went to the school quite quickly after seeing Bart.
No, that was years ago, 4 years ago.
Oh, so not the he just did an IACP conference this year, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he was speaking. I think he was just had a booth.
Oh, he just attended.
Yeah.
Right.
But
okay.
This is actually where he did a presentation. And I mean, first off, when he was like, "Fuck that," like he's like the training, talking about the training. He was like, I was like, "Fuck that," and I was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And he was talking about Jack and Coke, putting Jack and Coke in the dog and gasoline, and then he asked for 2 volunteers out of the crowd, and he strapped an e-collar to the people, and then he put out a $1 bill, and it was a very cool interaction that kept that whole conference in rapture. It was very eye-opening. And then I went up to him afterwards and I was like, "Hey man, I would love to learn from you, know a little bit more about your training." And my beard wasn't looking as good as it does now. And he grabs my beard. He's like, "You look like shit. You need to shave." And he walks off.
Well, you wouldn't be allowed that beard in the military, so that's probably why.
I think so. I'm not really a military guy.
Yeah. No. You know why I went to the Silver School?
Why?
I watched one video on YouTube, the one that's about 8 minutes long, and it's just impromptu obedience with a ball and a stick. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Thor?
Oh, yes, Bart with his dog Thor.
Yeah.
And based on that one video, I thought, I have to go. I have to know what this is. Because the dog, like you say, they just look so different to what you're used to seeing.
Yeah. Well, and especially with the dog just like, and not only that, but the response time, like, and you don't even hear him.
Yes, reflex response, yeah. Reflex. Yeah, and he's not shouting. There's no cheerleading. And this is one of those phrases that people, what do you mean cheerleading? And obviously all the students, we all know it, but there was no him hyping the dog up, none of him snatching the ball around. In fact, the ball was dead prey for the whole 8-minute video. Mm-hmm. It was dead. The dog brought the ball to life. The ball was completely dead. There was none of this. And at the time, I was training where everybody's whipping the ball around, negative punishment, trying to build drive in the dog. So just seeing that the ball was dead, for me, was revolutionary.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to the school, just on that one video.
The chicka chicka chunga or whatever he says.
Yeah. Chicky chicky chaka, yeah.
Chicky chicky chaka. Yeah. So check this out here. I got, let me put this up here. And I can do it like this.
Yes, this is it.
A little example of what we're talking about here. This is pretty impressive when you start to look at. And I don't have sound on it right now, but we can just watch
Oh,
the
you
video.
don't need sound because all he's saying is the commands and the command to get the ball. There is no other sound, which is what's so great about it.
What I liked about this video is how he was having him look at the ball, look at me,
Yeah.
look at the ball.
I mean, just look at that. It's just perfect. Everything
What
perfect. And you can see, when you watch that dog, you can see the thousands of hours that have gone into that training, that technical mastery. Well, I can see it now. When I first watched it, I couldn't see it. But like Bart says, when you first look at heeling, heeling is just heeling, barking is just barking. But now I can see more in the video. Obviously, I can see the layers of it.
Yeah, as you go through the process, you start to see these videos and hear them with different eyes, different ears.
Yes.
And then I tell, look at that tail. You know,
yeah.
Anytime that you're working with the dog, or anytime you are working with the dog in the system, just look at that tail.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I've noticed as I came home and started to implement some of the teachings that I've learned with my dogs, and confuse the hell out of both of us until I start to get it. But it's so cool to, I tell people, let the dogs be the expert. We as people, we can convince other people why stuff might not work, or, talk them, different reasons that might not be the truth.
Yeah.
Where the dog is really the expert. The dog is going to tell you if your philosophy holds water or if you're full of crap. And,
yes, because I do pet training, and a lot of the time people will tell me how they've trained their dog, what they think the dog feels, what they think the dog wants. And after 10 minutes of being around the dog, I can tell you how they've trained the dog, what the dog enjoys, why does the dog do, why does the dog does not do. You can see it in the dog. So I think that's what's different about the system as well, is that we're looking at the dog more than we're looking at the human.
Yeah, and I've shown this to people, and they're just like, man, that dog just seems like they're hopeless or something. And I'm like, man, it's the opposite. It's the exact opposite. Is that this dog is so full of hope and so much gusto that they want, and they're so confident with themselves, is that they're exploring their own creativity, and that's what's so cool about this system as well.
I think a lot of people say, oh, the dogs are like robots. Why would you want your dog to be a robot? But what they don't understand, and they only don't understand because they don't want to learn, because there's seminars all over the world now, as well as the school. So there's how many gold students? I don't know, over 100. And quite a few of us in all different locations are hosting seminars. So if you want to learn, we're giving you the information. Yes, of course, you have to travel and you have to pay and you have to commit to learning, but you can learn the information if you want to. So, sorry, I've just seen on the comments, someone saying they can't find a way to get in touch with the school. Kate, you need to email Michael directly. Her email address will be on the poster.
Yeah. And then, well, it's info at Bart Bella. And I don't know if she said that, but I'll definitely, I'll
chase
definitely
that
share
up for you, Kate.
Yeah, we'll follow up with you, Kate, and make sure that you're taken care of. I know that they're super busy, and I know that Bart just did a series of silver schools for the French Army as well. So
yeah,
I have no clue. Maybe, and sometimes maybe the junk folders. Who knows what goes on with the emails? But we'll make sure that you're taken care of. And absolutely, anybody that wants to go to these events, I think should, because overall it benefits dogs.
Yeah, of course.
And then Yora says, "Good morning, guys." And then Kim Cunningham says, "Gayle." So
Kim's one of my clients.
Is she really? Cool.
Yeah, Kim has a off-breed, a bulldog, but absolutely smashes it. Does great. She came to my seminar. She's done a lot of private lessons, and the dog's obedience is flashy as fuck. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's
very good.
It is super impressive. And while I'm actually sharing this, do you want to give a quick bio of what you do and where you're at and all that stuff?
Spotlight. What, like where I started, why I got into dogs?
No, I mean, just like Canine Coach, and then you also have a protection company. Where are you
Yeah,
located? You
so
also do Gold School seminars. One coming up here pretty soon.
yeah, so I'm doing a seminar in March. I just posted the photo for that. But I do, well, we have two companies. My company is a pet training company, Canine Coach. And my partner and I have PB Canine Protection Dogs, which is where we get puppies at 8 weeks old and we raise them until they're 12 or 18 months old, and then they go to their new handler. So my partner's a decoy, and he's been decoying since he was 14, so 20 years.
Wow.
He's actually been training dogs longer than me. When I first went to the school and I learnt the system, very quickly it was evident that the dogs are so strong and so tough, it's perfect for personal protection. Because although personal protection dogs are on command, they do have to think for themselves. And quite often, when you place them with the family, the people they go with are not necessarily a dog trainer. So the dog has to have his own ideas. He has to have his own ideas because the people are not necessarily dog trainers. While we support them and we do teach them how to be a dog handler, obviously, the dog must be tough and he must have his own mind. So all the behaviors that they do that look like these robotic behaviors start in organic behaviors. So we do, my partner is not a student. He has his own system of training dogs, but it's coherent with the way that I train dogs. So I cover the handling and the protection because he's the decoy, obviously. He does everything bite work related, and I do the obedience. If people want scent work, I do scent work, but most people don't ask for it. And then I also train pet dogs as well under Canine Coach. We split the companies because marketing really is confusing to market pet dog training and personal protection dogs because really they're completely
Two
different
separate
entities.
crowds. Yeah, two
Yeah,
separate people. People that want the pet dogs just usually are in it for emotional reasons, where the working dogs, a lot of it is emotional, but also logical. They got something, an asset or something that they want to protect, or
yeah.
they have a higher expectation, or more about precision work, or want a higher maintenance dog a lot of times too.
Yeah, I mean, we only do Mallees. A lot of the companies will do Cane Corsos, Dobermans. We only do Mallees because for us it's the Ferrari of dog.
Oh yeah.
They're so versatile, and a lot of people have got children. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that the Malinois is actually really affectionate. They're very sweet dogs. They bond very well to the handler. They love working. They love, obviously, the ones we raise love working, but they're quick. There's just so the list is endless. So for us, this is the breed we always use, and typically, well, in the industry we call them pet people, but people that aren't professionals in dogs shouldn't typically own this breed because it's very high energy. But that's why we do it from 8 weeks old. We show the dogs exactly how to live, what to do in that sort of environment. We show people how to handle the dogs, how to carry on the training. Obviously, they're trained, but how to carry it on. And the dogs that we give are always working anyway because they're personal protection dogs. So every time they take the dog out in the street, the dog is working. It's assessing, it's evaluating. So it's not like we give a maniac crazy Mallee to people who can't handle it, because the dog does drain itself doing its job anyway. I mean, some people, we have a lot of clients that have a lot of land and the dog's running 10 acres. So, they can have a Mallee.
Well, they get the steam vent, of that energy every single day, and I love Malinois. Someday
Yes.
I'll probably get one. I don't know.
Well, you have a mini one now. You have a
like
mini
3 of
Mallee.
them. Yeah. Well, I also have I just bought a new puppy, that Skipper Key, and she's really, really. I loved her because I saw
That is
another.
a mini Belgian Shepherd, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Not mini, but it's a variation of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's a very old breed. Actually, the Skipper Key was one of the first to participate. I'm not sure if it won the first dog show, but it was definitely in the first dog show in Brussels in 1690. And it's pretty cool to see, you know, and it's got a pretty solid temperament, and that's the reason I bought it. One of the reasons I bought it is that I came home from silver school and I started working with my older dogs, and silver school and Napopo is a mind blower. And I appreciate you, Gayle, because we were chatting before school, and I said, do you have any tips for me? And you were like, just pretend like you never, ever have been in dog training at all. And that's exactly what I did, is no expectations. Let me see. Kate has a question for you. Do you have a screening process to make sure that people who buy a protection dog do not get placed with organizations that treat them like things or robots? I've heard horror stories about Middle Eastern countries treating them badly. The dogs get placed, I mean.
So yes, we do actually. We do what's called we've invented the platinum puppy. So what that means is that our puppies actually get reserved when they're 8 weeks old. We have a waiting list. Okay. So for example, our next waiting list, it opens in April. So when we get puppies in April, they'll be sold basically straight away to the people that are on the waiting list. And then throughout the time, so say it's going at 12 months old, from 8 weeks old to 12 months old, they come and train with us. So they get used to their dog. They learn how to handle their dog, because obviously I don't do luring. I don't do traditional treat training. The way we train is different. The bite work is very different. The bite work is it's completely coherent with Nipopo, but it's not Nipopo. It's something that my partner's come up with by himself. But the dogs, it's just everything's radical. So everybody comes, and some people come 3 times a week. Some people come once a month, and they get updated with pictures and videos. So we know the clients are our friends by the end of it, because we spend 10 months with them and their families, their children come. So yeah, we don't sell to, we're not dog brokers. We don't sell to Middle Eastern or things like that. We know the people that we sell the dogs to.
Well,
so it's a bit different in that respect.
Well, it sounds like a very involved relationship. And then as you're growing up with that, or as they're watching that dog grow and you're watching them handle that dog, you can kind of see, you know, the way that they interact with that animal, and you can kind of guide them with that as well.
The difference from the beginning, when they come at 8 weeks, to the handler that they are at 12 or 18 months is astronomical.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
A lot of them, we get a lot of people that where someone in the family is not 100% with dogs, because a lot of protection dog companies just sell an older dog. So they have dogs in stock and the dog's 18 months old or whatever, and they sell the dog. And that can be quite intimidating if you're not used to dogs. Because some people are buying the dog because they have some sort of safety issue or something like that. Right. So that not necessarily because they love dogs, it's because they need a dog. So
a working dog.
Yeah, they need a working dog. Dogs do have a job at the end of the day. Our dogs definitely do. So it's not the same as a dog broking, I think, is maybe what you're describing, where people sort of flip dogs and they place them anywhere. We don't do that. We hand select the clients and they hand select us. So it's different in that respect.
And she says that is great. The potential buyers have to invest a lot of time and effort. You know that they're dedicated. Absolutely.
Yes, but these dogs live in our home with us as well. They're not even kennelled. They live in the house with us. So it's our whole lifestyle. I mean, obviously, like Michael and Bart teach us, dog training is a lifestyle.
That's right.
For us, it literally is our whole life. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dogs here, Malleys. Yeah, all Malleys. So it really is our lifestyle. But obviously, we're in a unique position where we're both dog trainers.
Isn't Nipopo Premac fundamentally? I have no clue what Premac is. What's Premac? I realize
Anthony,
it's deeper than that.
What country are you in, Anthony? Because there'll be a seminar or a school in your country, I'm sure, if you want to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, and when you go in there the first day, and I know that I was just saying with Gayle how I'm walking in like I'd never trained a dog before, but a lot of the concepts that they introduce, you're like, oh, I know this. And then they start talking, and you're like,
you don't know this. Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a second, I'm trying to catch up. And then they're just keep on going and going. Yeah. And, you know, it's like nothing I've ever I've ever experienced before. And I've been through quite a few programs to learn different methodologies, and that's what would happen is that I started. So when did you start training dogs?
Not even that long ago. 5 years.
And what made you start working with dogs, Gayle?
I had a naughty dog. I had a very naughty dog, a bulldog bitch. And when I started out, I was actually heavily into the pure positive movement. So I was reading one of the books that's on at the Silver School, Don't Shoot the Dog. All those sort of, those buzz books that positive trainers use. I read all of them, digested all of them. I was going to like local pet training classes, and the dog was a bull breed, and she got to sort of 6 months old, and she was still trying to kill other dogs. And the positive people were saying, "Oh, give her a treat when she stops trying to kill them,"
Ignore
crazy
it.
things.
Turn your back.
Yeah, and I went on. I actually managed to go on pack walks with her. She was strange when there was an outside dog. She was a weird little dog, and one of the women that worked for the company alpha rolled the dog. Alpha rolled her, so like pinned her to the floor. And I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Got the dog, left, and never went back. And then I went to a IPO club and trained there for a while. And then I went to Silver School. So it's quite a quick evolution.
Yeah, well, at least you found, I mean, you could have been running the gambit of philosophies. And I think it boils down to, Gayle, is that we want to do what feels good because we have an emotional relationship with these animals. We love them so much. And then we hear all these buzzwords like scientific and humane and all this stuff that they pair with it. And they don't realize that, I mean, competing motivators. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And once the dog already has this.
Genetics. It was a bull breed. It wanted to harm other dogs, and they were saying, give it treats. Not even existential feeding. This is the thing. Not even existential food. Hot dogs. She doesn't want a hot dog. She's in drive. So for me, that was, I physically experienced the bullshit of that. And I'm not saying it doesn't work, because I actually
use it in Facebook.
Yes, and I follow people on Facebook that do only positive, and they have a collie, and they train it only in an obedience ring. And if it looks good, I don't care how you got there. I don't care if the dog is happy, the dog looks flashy, you're smashing it at competitions, or you and your dog just have a nice relationship, and all you've ever done is give it hot dogs or use your cheerleader voice. So what? Like that good for you. Do your thing. But a lot of these people that and I have been attacked by the pure positive community since then. A lot of these people can't show their dogs. So I think if you can show your dog, that's fine. Do your thing.
Well, just like we were talking about, what led us to Bart is that he showed his dog and didn't talk or anything. Let his dog show us, hey, this guy has a relationship that I am just in love with. And I'm like, how can I learn from this guy? How can I learn to get my dog to look like that?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I always try to show my own dog at seminars. The last one I did, we had some very young puppies, so I showed what a puppy looks like in the system. And it was the first, I just winged it, basically. I just hoped, because, well, not hoped, I'd put hours into the dog already, but I just thought, I'm going to get the puppy. I'm going to see, because there was a crowd of people. She'd never been around that many people. And there was a lot of free shaping things out. There was a box, a hide, a positions box, a clap. It was loads of things. So it was multi-field.
So I got a bull right next to me here.
I just started free shaping with her, and she did do really well, because it was a really good example of how there's no distractions, only motivation problems, to directly quote Bart and Michael there. And also got my older dog out as well, because a lot of people ask me at the seminars, can I use a ball and can I use a toy instead of using existential food? That's a really big question that I get asked. So I wanted to show, if your dog feels like this about the ball, yes, you can use a ball.
Yeah. Well, I think people, they have a pre-misconception of like, what that relationship looks like, and a lot of times it's based on their experience with purely positives, like always having food with you, always having a clicker, always needing to be on the draw, and that's it. Is that I didn't want to micromanage my dog, right? And that's what it boiled down to. And not only that, but I knew that me giving away my dog or giving food all the time when my dog was being an idiot was like a lot of these rich kids that I see that the parents are just giving them money when they're being idiots instead of letting them learn the lesson or the consequences of their behavior.
Yes, letting them feel the consequence. That's a key thing.
Yeah, well, learning through experience, learning through experience. That's what we all, I mean, that's the best way to learn, in my opinion. Not just for human, but for dog, any living creature. And basically, and not only that, but if you're the one that's always delving out these treats, you're looking like a sucker in that dog's eyes, and that's not a true compass that dog wants to follow. And same thing too, like if you were just raising these dogs until 18 months old, putting them on a family, and if somebody in that family is intimidated by this dog, automatically that dog is like, aha, sucker, I can get one over on this person.
I mean, because we have the families come so much, we don't have that, but yeah, I can imagine that's what would happen. But I mean, I don't think the dogs that we train are obviously dangerous. They are serious dogs, they bite, but they are that person's pet as well. Then they're like all our dogs. My dog is fucking crazy and people are intimidated by him, but he's also my little baby. So the dogs that we send out are like that as well. So I think a lot of people with the system think they see Bart's videos, Michael's videos, and they think, oh, but I don't do dog sport, I don't do IGP, I don't do ring sport.
Right.
But I'm applying it one way for pet dogs and another way for personal protection dogs. And so it's one of those things, it's very malleable, the system. You can make the dogs whatever you want, as long as you have, obviously you do need a good genetic base, especially for the personal protection dogs. With the pet dogs, every pet dog can learn heel, sit, down, come, every pet dog, and they can learn to love to do it, every single pet dog, but you may not have the genetic base to do scent work, definitely not bite work. You need a good genetic base for the personal protection dog. So it's not all about the system. You have to have the system and the dog, depending on what way you're going with your training.
And even in the system, there's a bell curve where most dogs fall into, but you're always going to have those outliers that you're going to need a little bit more help with. And that's why it's good to have a network of professionals that are kind of taking the system. And that's the beauty of it, is that it is a system, but then they encourage you to take it home and tailor it to your needs and to use discernment.
Yeah, I think everyone's doing it differently. I think within the gold students, everyone has their own take on it. Everyone.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
So I think it's very cool, because you can us as students as well can go to the other students' seminars and they've heard something different to what we've heard, or they've tailored it the way they want to hear it, and you still everything you go to, you're learning. I mean, a lot of us go to the silver school again, the gold school again, and we listen to it again, and you hear something else when you go again.
I have signed up for every single gold school that is offered here in the States already, and I'll be going back. Repetition is the mother of learning, and that's why we do things over and over and over again. And it's the same thing with this school. It's like, look, I'm going back to it. And Bart says it's like listening to a song. The first time you hear the song, you might hear, like, really, really notice the chorus. Second time you hear it, you might notice the first verse, and then and then you notice the second and third verse, and then you hear it with headphones, and you notice, oh wow, they have a banjo or something in there.
And you hear it differently from Michael and Bart as well. So they both have their own individual contributions to the school. So when you hear Michael talk, she'll say something that's obviously within the frame of the system, but she might even word it differently to how Bart says it. And then you've got another angle. But everybody needs to hear things in different ways to be able to understand them. So I think that's a massive advantage as well, because they're both preaching it. So you have both angles there.
Well, and Bart just chimed in. He says he cannot listen right now. He's on a 4-hour drive, but he wishes us to have fun. We got a comment on another thread from Dogs Duggies talking about the Premack principle as a principle of reinforcements, which states that an opportunity to engage in more probable behavior or activities will reinforce less probable behaviors or activities. Okay, I don't. Might have to
sounds
get
sciencey.
it. Yeah, totally. It kind of went in my head. Doing what feels good got me in trouble. What caused fights? Yeah, because a lot of times those dogs are not seeing a good leader, and they're like, if there's no leader here, I guess I'm it. And then they go and do stuff that they shouldn't be doing because they a little bit got a big head on their shoulders there.
Felt good letting the dogs do what they want, no more. Yes, but this is the danger when we're training in knee povo specifically, because the dogs get so tough and so strong, and everybody has that.
This is you, DP Canine Protection, right?
Yes,
that's her.
Yeah, so everyone who goes to the school, when you come out of the school, if you grasp the system fully, which Bart and Michael does say takes at least 5 years, if you grasp it fully, you will accidentally or intentionally make a dog too strong and too tough. So it isn't just about letting the dogs do what they want, because within the parameters of the system, the dog does actually believe that he's invented the down command, and he believes he's invented the bite command, and he believes he's invented scent work. So he will very quickly start to think that he's king of the world if you don't have the skill to put those cues on command.
Yeah, and that's what the dog thinks it's their invention, and sometimes they think that they're manipulating you too.
Yes, well, yeah, I want them to think that.
That's right. Why do you want them to think that?
Because I want the God complex. I love that God complex in the dog. My dog specifically is trained only for me, and the dog thinks he's king of the world. He's here, and I'm here. Only just. I like it like this. The dogs that we train for other people is much different, but me and my dog are just where it's a balancing act. Because for me, that's the most fun way to train, when you're only just above the dog. I don't like the dog to be submissive to me or anything like that. I like this little bit of danger. And my partner's dog also is like that. So we obviously we both like this in our personal dogs, but dogs that we train for other people, we tailor train them to what sort of handler they are. We don't train this crazy dog for them.
Yeah, you get all pushy. Some people can't handle it when they're like that, you know. Some people, you know, like you were saying, it can be intimidating, or if they're not really experienced and don't know how to read a dog, or you know, that
it goes south fast if you can't read the dog. So it will go wrong very quickly if you can't keep it like this, and suddenly the dog comes here. That's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean the dog, because we're reading the dog, and the dog is communicating. We are communicating where we can just sit here perfectly still with our lips, and all these voices or these vibrations come out of our vocal cords here, and everybody is taking in what we're saying, and first they're holding it against their own experiences, and that's, you know, it's taking it in based on their perception, but we can communicate a vast variety of abstract ideas and really, really, you know, break down some concepts just with our voice. Where the dog is communicating with that body language. You know, they're not walking up and be like, "Hey, Rex, I'm going to go sniff this bush." The dog just sees a bunch of little tails getting smaller and smaller as they walk towards this other direction, and they think that that's enticing. And so space, speed, movement, all that stuff is important in dog world.
Yeah.
And definitely. Living in the moment too, you know.
Living in the moment, yes. Yes. That's why we do such a long living in the moment is why we do such a long handler integration, because ultimately people can retrain the dog when they take it, because dogs are malleable. Obviously you can make them whatever you want. If I come and take your 3-year-old dog, I can do whatever I want with it now. I can change it, same as you can take my dog and change it. So Absolutely. We try to, a lot of the people that we have as clients are green dog handlers. So like I said to you about being an alien when you went to the school, pretend you know nothing. A lot of the people we deal with don't know anything, which is brilliant because we tell them how we do it. And that's how they learn to train and handle the dog. So they have a much higher success rate when they take the dog because for 10 months we've been in their ear telling them how to do things.
Well, and I think that, you know, that's where it gets backwards. Like a lot of the trainings that we see is so much luring, and that was one of the problems that I'm like,
I hate luring. I'm just putting it out there. I hate luring.
I do too now that I see what my dogs are capable of, you know, and it just it's for patience, and it's watching them explore themselves too. But as a professional, I have to recreate me and other people, including my wife, who's not really a dog person, you know. And it's really, really, it's really communistic, like do this, do that, or dictatorship, you know. And with the person, me dealing with another person, you know, and go correct that dog or do whatever. But instead, now whenever you see something that the dog likes, you know, we're going to mark that, and then we are going to do corrections, but that comes later, and we will hold the dog to a certain standard and account. But it's not the same as I've experienced it before, where that's exactly what happens, is that I take a dog, board and train, and take it home, don't express the need properly, obviously, because the clients aren't doing it, for the upkeep and the training that needs to be done. And the dog, I go back to see it, and it's deteriorated significantly.
Yeah.
And that's been a big challenge through my whole career. Yeah. And that's another reason why I'm so excited about this, because this makes it so I'm not recreating me, and I'm not having so much influence over that dog's behavior that when I leave the picture, so does the behavior that I taught the animal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's where free shaping really comes into play, especially with pet people. I see one of the questions on here.
Oh yeah, what was
your biggest takeaway? The biggest change in my training results for pet dogs is what you were just describing. So with free shaping, obviously, for people that don't know, free shaping is where the handler does absolutely nothing but sets up a situation where a dog might offer a spontaneous behavior, which we will reinforce if we like it. So if you do free shaping with pet dogs, most people want sit down, come, heel, look in my eyes. That's what most people want from their dog, basic obedience. So if you free shape those behaviors, when the dog goes home, if the person's holding food in their hand, or they have their ball, or the person's just asking the dog for something and the dog doesn't understand what the handler wants, if they've been through 3 weeks of free shaping with you, they'll offer one of those behaviors if the trainer has correctly reinforced the behaviors that they wanted. So like you said, there's much less pressure on you as a dog trainer to still be in the dog's life. It doesn't matter whether you're there, because the dog is training the human in a way. It's showing the human, look, I can do this. Do you want this? I can down. Do you want this? I can sit. Do you want this? So that takes a lot of pressure off the trainer and the handler, because you give the dog life skills to cope with their human when they go home.
Well, and the dog's just like, oh, I got this. Is this it? Is this it? Okay, cool. And then they run and I mean, the biggest difference that I've noticed, and let me show you one of my. So I'm gonna do this video here. I'm gonna share another video of my girl when I was working with her. Let me expand this out on the clack here. Let me see if I can do a better video. There we go. So bear with me for just 1 second. But the biggest difference that I've noticed is the tail. Yeah. And that tail is up, just like when we were watching with Bart and his dog, Thor. That tail is up. And here, let's see what I can play here. So here's my girl. Let me put her up here and then solo her out. Now, keep in mind, this is my girl. We're just introducing her to the clack here. And I'm not saying a word to her. Okay.
And this dog has been in another training system for years, yeah?
Yes, yeah, 2 years.
Lovely. Look.
And look at that tail. That's what gets me about this. It's like, look at the
And the eyes.
intensity. Yep. And then
And
she
you know,
just
with the
ran right
clack
into
clack,
the phone.
that's what I love about the clack clack is that if you watch her feet, she's doing very. This is why I'm anti-luring, because if you watch your dog's feet in this video, you see all the intricate technical moves she's doing with her feet. With no luring, with no one showing her how to do it. She knows how to move her feet into position. Watch.
Yeah.
She's got one foot on. Is it the back 2 feet? Is it half of this foot? Is it these two? Is it these two? You see how many behaviors she just offered then?
Yeah.
Without being shown or lured.
And when
she's
she runs
showing
off
you
of
what she
there,
can
I
do.
click her. Well, you're not hearing it, but when she runs off, I
Yeah.
click it. And that's the other thing too, is that charging that clicker. Once she hears that clicker, man, she knows she's getting paid, and it's trust.
Yeah.
And and anytime that she hears this clicker, it's on.
Yeah.
And I like her to do this little chonga like dance back and forth, and I was clicking it, and she would do it back and forth. And now I'm a couple days later here, I'm having her spin around, having her lay down. But see how she's offering that down?
Look, she just offered a play bow there.
Yeah, and that's something that you can click. And
she's offering loads of things that people would traditionally lure.
Yeah.
Yet she's showing you, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. She's showing you what she can do. And the longer you leave the dog and the more frustrated they get, the more they offer.
Well, that's what Jackie said to me. She's like, do not be afraid not to click. Right. And so
Yes.
that's what happens. And it is a fine line. I mean, you have to, and this is where you have to read that dog and have to know, hey, look, are they still engaged? Are they getting really frustrated? But frustration isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, frustration can build motivation. Interesting. I've seen, all I've been taught is luring and mechanical placement. Free shaping makes sense in the Nepo sense, as from what I understand, the dog needs to feel like it's their own creation. That is correct. Yeah. And then she's actually thinking as well versus luring. That's absolutely it.
Yes.
It's like, I'm like, show me. I'm like, show me what you want.
Dogs can think, people. Dogs can think for themselves. A lot of people treat dogs like they're stupid. They get them at 8 weeks old. They put food in front of their face. Listen to me, stupid doggy.
Yeah. We sell our dogs short. A lot of the times
the dog is smarter than the human that's handling it.
Well, I mean, that dog lives in the natural world, man. The dogs can teach us so much about letting go, about living in the moment, about exploration and being creative. And that's what I love about this, is that this is kind of like the dog being creative. What's the dog standing on? That's a clack-clack board, and I got a couple here, and I'll send you a link. Pressure and release through the frustration. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I would say that because the pressure is building up, the dog's wanting. What do you think about that statement? Pressure and release through frustration.
Depends what you perceive as pressure and what the dog perceives as pressure.
Right. Yeah, it needs a little bit.
Is the dog under any pressure? It's hard to know because
she's not really.
With all negative reinforcement is perception of the dog still. So we don't know whether the dog is under pressure or not.
The dog
is to release.
This is a dog this is how she's eating her food. So the pressure might be an empty stomach or something, but that we're going to be relieving. What is a dog standing on? That is a clack-clack board, and the clack-clack board builds dopamine. Through frustration. Oh, I love it.
Use it all the time. And when I did the seminars, people love the clack clack. They all want their dog to have a turn on it.
Yeah, I mean, and they're available. I know that Martin System has them in stock, and as well as here in America.
Yeah, due to high demand, they stopped making them for a period, and there was such demand for them. They've issued them again. Lucky us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I snagged them up right away, and I'm going to snag a couple more. And that's the beautiful thing about the Martin System, is that this stuff is so high quality, from the collars to really all the equipment, And so it is a little bit of a premium, but it is worth every penny of it, in my opinion. I'm going to post up a links to the clack-clack board at martinsystemshop.com, as well as here in America, we have a couple places that are a little bit cheaper to get them shipped out to you. Let me see.
Some of the students sell them, don't they? In America?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get it from Top Notch Canine, who is a student as well. And it's just easier on
Who's
the
Top
shipping.
Notch?
That one is Michael. He's silver, so he's going through gold right now too. But he was he does the Top Notch Canine, which I guess sell a lot of Martin System products and chameleon collars. So here's a link to the Martin Systems in the comments here, and then I'm going to put a link as well to Top Notch. And there's two sizes of the Clack Clack boards. There is 12 by 12, and then there's 8 by 8. And I always thought, or I put my dogs on the large one. That's what she's on right now, is the large one. And then I'll bring it. I'll kind of hone it down to the smaller one. Is that what you do, or?
No, I just use a big one.
You don't have the small one?
No, I don't have the small one. Okay. My dogs are too big, even when they're puppies.
I know, mine are little, so I'm in little dog world.
At the moment, we've got all big Roy bloodlines. I don't know if you know anything about KMPV bloodlines.
Yeah.
Dogs are just fucking huge, even when they're puppies.
Yeah, those are.
So they don't. The small Clack Clack's no good for me, and I never get small dogs for dog training. I always get big dogs. All the dogs I've had recently have been Malleys, so I'm very lucky in that respect, I suppose. But I never get little cute ones that will fit on that little small Clack Clack.
You get to meet my dogs.
Yeah.
I think you'll like.
I want to meet the new one.
Oh yeah, I'll get her here in just a second. I hear her out there. What is your experience with frustration or excitement, arousal that so often comes as a side effect of shaping? Ooh, I have seen a lot of dogs that are very unsettled later in the context of learning, and they will often start vocalizing as well. Great question.
I think unsettled. I don't know whether you mean this from a human perspective or a dog's perspective, because stress is a part of learning and it's very important to learning. So but frustration, leaking is what they're talking about. So leaking when they bark or whine in shaping is just bullshit behavior, and it comes when the trainer doesn't know how to channel the drive in the dog.
Yes, I agree.
When you know how to, yes, there are some bloodlines in Malleys especially that are very vocal and they whine when they're training. Okay, but this is unusual, and this is not most Malleys. This is like a very specific line of Belgian ring Malleys that make these vocalizations, and there's some very particular bloodlines that have certain quirks, and some have the vocalization, but 99% of the time is because the trainer doesn't know how to channel into the exercise. That's why they leak. So in obedience, when they're screaming their head off, they should be putting that energy into lifting their legs. And people don't know how to channel the drive of the dog.
Well, it's also just a relationship that they have, and the timing, all that stuff. It goes in important with that shaping. I mean, and then also doing it in that structured and understanding the timeline of when the dog loves it, naming it, all that stuff, where we can start to press them, start to hold them to a count, and because we know that they know it. And that's what I'm naming the Clack Clack for her, and she lights up. She's like, ah! And the other thing I think is important too is a cue to start being creative, and a cue that the restaurant's closed, right? That we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, dogs, sometimes they think that it's always time for shaping, and that can manifest itself in some unsettled behavior. So definitely having cue when the process starts. And mine is, let's go to work, and I'll put a flat collar on my dogs, and that's that indicator. And then I want them to be like, you know, and then I'll make sure that they want to go to work. And sometimes that's when that negative reinforcement can come in to help build that drive, because then we'll put something on there, you know, where I'll be like, clack, clack. And then she'll run to that clack, clack, and I'll hold her back. And she's like, fighting to get to that clack, clack. And then I release it. And then she goes there, and then I click, and then boom, we're ignited. Right.
Yeah. I think the vocalization as well is sometimes just a habit, especially in free shaping. Sometimes the dog will invent that barking is part of the behavior. So they will start, they will do a down and they bark and you click because they downed, but they're barking as well. And you're not inside the dog's head. So now you have a down with barking and you've clicked it, you've given positive reinforcement. And obviously, the more reinforcement you give, positive or negative, the more likely a behavior is to happen. So if you keep giving reinforcement for leaking, whining, barking, then that's what you're going to get. Michael actually speaks in depth about habit, and habits are not always, I mean, she speaks in depth about maintaining good habits. I mean, Michael goes for a run every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. Did you know this?
Yes, I do.
With her dog. Yeah. What a habit to have. And she looks fucking fantastic for doing it, but I couldn't get up at 5 and run for an hour every morning. But not all habits are good, obviously, and sometimes that leaking and that barking during obedience and bite work, even I see it in bite work also, sometimes it's just a really terrible habit.
Yeah, well, Kate says that only 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter on the website. I know that they're selling out quick right now, and I know that there's not many clacks available. There is one of each, the 20 and the 30 centimeter on the Top Notch Canine post that I just put up. So there's one of each on those in America there. So I would recommend getting it there, and then I'm sure that they're going to be making more. But yeah, that's a great point that you made, Gayle, about inadvertently marking the bark, because that dog is taking that snapshot right when you hit that of what did I just do. You gotta kind of be mindful of that. And that's where sometimes I'm like, crap, I wish I would have just marked that, Well, my dog, I had those little bells and she rang it with her butt. And I was like, I wish I would have marked that.
Okay.
Weird, but okay, yeah.
Yeah. But this is why, preferably, I mean, we're in a position where now our whole company is based around raising dogs from scratch from the best bloodlines. So we're in a bit of a position of privilege, because that's why the pet dog training that I do is different. So we try to make all the habits of the dog good habits that are very well established by the time they go. A lot of the pet dogs that I get have terrible habits, and I have to, in 3 weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, try and give them a better set of habits. But I do warn people, it takes humans at least 30 days to establish a new habit.
30 to 45 days, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know the science for a dog. I doubt anyone does know.
Well, it's about the same, because look, it's a neural reconstruction process, right? We all have the same systems in our body. The excretory, circulatory, nervous system, skeletal system, and they all have the same functions. I mean, there's difference between our digestive tract in a dog, and there's certain things that are different in our body. But as far as that cellular growth, neural reconstruction, all that stuff is very, very similar. We as human beings in our brain have an outer buffer, the prefrontal cortex or the neocortex, that allows us so much more capabilities with our thought process, as far as like discernment, time travel in our mind, back and forth, where the dog doesn't have that outer buffer of their brain. And so that's where one of the mistakes that my clients make is anthropomorphizing the animal, or putting human characteristics on them. And I have to explain, the thought process of the human, and how the dog's not really capable of it. So by anthropomorphizing them, we are kind of doing a disservice to that animal, because they are not even capable of the characteristics or seeing the world the way that we perceive it. But
I think that's a lot harder for pet owners to digest than it is for somebody that owns a working dog. The people that take the working dogs into their family from us are very aware and respect the dog as an animal.
Yeah, and they're paying a premium for it too.
Yeah, and the people that own the pets, they love them. They don't, like you say, they see it from their perspective, not from the dog's perspective. Right, I think it helps to have an element of danger. So people with aggressive dogs are normally see it a lot clearer. And obviously our dogs are biting dogs. So whilst they're completely under control, there is that there is that danger element in your mind. And I think people take it a lot more seriously and respect them for what they are when there's that element of risk.
Gayle, what is your opinion on the use of e-collars in dog training and this overwhelming attempt to demonize this tool around the world?
I think the only people that demonize it are people that haven't used it, or
they've been
people
taught
that
by
have
an
used,
idiot or
yeah, or
bad
people that
products,
have used a piece of shit. Someone came to me 2 weeks ago with an e-collar, and they said, "Oh, we've bought an e-collar. Can you show me how to use it?" And when they turned up with it, I said, "No, I'm not putting that on the dog. I wouldn't even put that on myself to test it."
Yeah,
because it was like a one from eBay or Amazon. It was just a piece of shit. I said, I'm not animal welfare. I'm not putting that on the dog. No way.
Well, and that's it, is animal welfare. That's what it boils down to. And the last thing I want to do is hurt a dog. You know, that's the last thing I want to do is to not have that trust with that animal, or, you know, and that's it. You know, I am 100% a fan of these tools. In fact, I've seen these e-collars literally save dogs' lives that I've worked with. It allowed us a little separation, especially before. I might have to let this pity out here in just a second, or give it to my wife, because she definitely needs to go out. You know, the timing aspect with the e-collar, there are just so many things that we can utilize with this e-collar, putting pressure on the dog, indicating, and also aversive pressure, especially if we need to, if a dog is eating something that they shouldn't, or running into traffic or something like that. It's a great collar to have, or a great tool to have.
I think, to be honest, with e-collars, a lot of people are very emotive. I mean, I saw there was discussion in England about banning the e-collar, and even the people that lobbied against the ban were using very emotional propaganda, dead sheep, and really crazy
burning
things.
dogs.
And I think one of the biggest issues in dogs training is that people don't understand negative reinforcement. That is probably one of the biggest issues with dog trainers, professional dog trainers. They do not understand what negative reinforcement is. So forget e-collars and banning tools and banning practices. Forget bans. Everyone should go and learn and do education. Bans are not important. Education's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on one second. I'm going to let this girl out. I'm going to grab my wife and see if she's available to take this dog out. Hold on just 1 second, Gayle. Hey, Dawn, can you take her out for me, please? Come on, big girl. Thank you.
Kate, I'm reading your question.
All right, so she's gone, so no more whining from her. And then I went and grabbed the clack clack. So this is the 30-inch, or 30 centimeter, 12 inch, and it just kind of is two metal pieces of stainless steel here, sandwiched together. And when the dog steps on it, it makes this noise. I love it. Can you hear me, Gayle?
Yeah, I'm just reading a question from Kate.
There we go.
About leaking.
All right, so in gun dog training, often we get dogs who whine in the blind or at the line in competition, then bark as they are released to get the bird. It is considered a very bad habit, and in competition, the dog can get marked down. Would that be considered leaking in gun dog training? Is fundamentally, or is actually pretty Neanderthal, and is complete mystery on how it happens for most handlers. What are your thoughts on that?
I've never done gun dog training, full disclosure.
I have a couple people that we can ask that, and maybe even in Ne Popo, but great question.
I'll probably ask, there is people, I know there's students that have done it, but I don't really feel in a position to answer that question, whether that's leaking or not.
Mini Educator. So Mini Educator, I used to use a Mini Educator quite a bit, but now I'm a huge fan of the Chameleon collar. The Chameleon 3 right here. I got one right here. And the price point's a little bit different. The Chameleon 3 is around $700, $800, where the Mini Educator is just a couple $100. I like the Chameleon.
You get what you pay for.
When I saw that the Chameleon 3 had an indicator that said that when you're making contact, boom, that sold me by itself. But then we have so many other different features. But when we're working with the dog, especially with the e-collar, if we're not careful and we give the dog an involuntary overstim, sometimes that can jeopardize the relationship or jeopardize exactly what we're trying to teach that animal. And so
I think it's the habit of the people when we're talking about Michael and Bart and we're talking about Popo that they start asking about electric, but quite often when I'm teaching people, electric just doesn't even come into the equation. I think there's a danger that people think that Bart and Michael are e-collar trainers. They're not. They're lifestyle coaches. It's not about the tool. It's about how you use tools, how you are with the dog. If you're using a stick, you should be able to throw the stick, stroke the dog with the stick, hit the dog with the stick, play fetch with it, all in one session. It's not about whether you use an e-collar, a choker, a pinch collar, use your voice, you use food. It's how you use those things. And you should be able to train with anything and nothing. If you want to really call yourself a dog trainer, it's not about electric. It's not about pinch collars. It's about your whole lifestyle, how you live with dogs. It's not about one tool. And I think there's always a danger of getting political and getting into e-collars. And I try to avoid it if possible because I really think it's about lifestyle training. It's about coaching. It's not about how to press the buttons on the electric.
Hence the canine coach.
Yes.
You know, I own Dog Coach.
Oh, do you?
Yep. And that was my dog coach. And that's exactly what I agree 100%, that it's not about obedience. It's not about training. It's about coaching. And, you know, and I used to say every great team needs a coach.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the questions on here is about current studies that support the use of e-collars. If you go to... As
I just spilled my coffee.
If you go to, I think it's gobobby.be, but I have to confirm that. One of the students, Go Bobby Honden Training, he has in-depth research and studies on e-collars. In-depth. So all the science that people, I mean, the antis are always going on about their science. Well, this is the real science. I'm sure it's gobobby.be.
Go to bobby.be. I'll find it here in just a second. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, on Facebook, he's Go Bobby Honden Training.
As well as we can counter these claims. Well, and the other thing that I love about this Chameleon collar too is also about the SSC, where in the water versus out of the water, it just has so many features that are great. That, and then let me see. I am 1,000% of advocate of using e-collars in training, but tired of these so-called experts using studies to push their positions based on purely ignorant and emotional position.
But if you're tired, then show your dog, because that's a real disservice to the community and all of dog training, that if you're doing something different that people are perhaps opposed to and you believe in it and you and your dog are both happy and you're having success, make videos and put them online, because a lot of people that talk, they can talk, but they can't train a dog. So unless you've seen a video of them training their dog in the park, on the field, with children around, with dogs around, you know, in every environment, and having success everywhere, with not just one perfectly bred Mallee, with hundreds of dogs. So this is the advantage of pet dog trainers. We go through our hands hundreds of dogs, and none of them are genetically superior. None of them. They're all they're dogs that you wouldn't buy for what we do for personal protection. You wouldn't buy these dogs because we hand select dogs. Like I said, it's a position of privilege. But the pet dogs, they're not genetically superior at all. They haven't been handpicked. People pick that old saying where they say, "Oh, pick the puppy that comes to you from the litter." That's how people pick puppies. They look on a listing online and then they pick the puppy that comes and sits in their lap.
It's fate. it's God tells me that, this is the dog I need. Not that the dog is a scout and very independent and wanting to know who the hell
Yes.
you are and checking you out. For the rest of the puppies that might be a little bit more codependent, and those ones might be a better selection because you're looking for a dog to attach
They
themselves
pick
to
the pushy one. They always pick the pushy one. The first one climbing out, and then they wonder why it's climbing over their fence. But this is where you should look. If you want to fight for dog training, show the world that you can train all these dogs.
Show your dog, man.
Show your dog.
Show me your dog.
What is Pat saying? Cool story. Show me your dog.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. And I just talked to Pat. He's coming on. We're working out a date here shortly, but that's it. Show me your dog. Let's see your dog. And dude, what the craziest thing is, man, is that I've seen the craziest dogs from people that claim to be purely positive. I was at this place training this one lady's dog, and there was another trainer upstairs training the other lady's dog, and it perplexes me, Gayle, that they can't see or acknowledge what's right in front of their face. Like, we're sitting there talking, and my dog is just chill, and their dog is just going crazy. And they're like, the dog is going crazy because they sniff your dog. And they're trying to put it on my dog. And I'm like, the dog's not even looking at this dog. Okay, he's looking the other way. And that's it, man. It's like, I think that they try to think with their emotions. And in the pet world, it's crazy sometimes.
Very emotional.
Yeah, very emotional.
Very emotional.
Yeah. To say the least. But people get in over their heads, man. Just like what was a catalyst for you. And Gayle, this has happened so many times when I've interviewed people. I'm like, how did you get into the dog world? How did you? And they're like, I had a naughty dog, like you said. And then they would go to these purely positive people or whatever, and the dog would get worse. Or the dog, it wasn't fixing it.
The dog just didn't improve. Yeah, it just didn't.
It didn't just improve. Yeah. And then they were like, what the hell's going on? And then they're like, well, you just got to keep it up.
Yeah, for 5 years.
And that's what you learn too, is that the duration of purely positive is 4,000 to 6,000 per behavior, and it's just like, it's not attainable. It's impossible, especially when you need to meet a particular behavior head on. And that's what I tell people. Some of this stuff we need to meet right now, head on, at the door. Honeymoon's over, and it's a danger not just to the dog, but it's a liability to your guests. There's just so much that go into this. And not only that, but the dog trusts you, learns to trust the situations you put them in, and eventually learns to trust themselves. That's how it was before. But now I think it's more about the dog learns to trust themselves, then trust you, and then trust the situation that they put them in, kind of nay-po-po. It's like you said, I've got this glow about me because, man, every day I'm contemplating this stuff. And every day I'm just like, how putting these dots together and filling in the gaps. And I know it's just going to take some time, and I can't wait to get back into the campus and start learning and really, really take my puppy. This will be the first dog ever that I've taken from the ground level, and this is all that they've known. And I can't wait to show the world this dog.
Wow, that's very inspiring to hear you say that. And you haven't even been to Gold yet.
Nope. And here we go. I think some people abuse the e-collars. They're so afraid to put the hands on. There's nothing that you shouldn't do to that dog that you're not willing to do to yourself too. And that's one of the things that we do with at the school is we put the e-collars on each other. This about the collar. Interesting. Thank you. Or the studies. A study that he's aware of is in the 70s. And developing your own system of training, what was the most influential to you in helping you develop it?
The school, obviously, Michael and Bart, and practical experience, making a lot of mistakes in the beginning, a lot. And I would say it took a whole year for me to be, yes, I understand it now. And when I came back from the school, I think everyone expected me to talk a lot, and I'm not a big talker on the internet. I don't really comment on anything, or this is the first live interview I've ever done. Yeah, I know. This is the first one I've done, so I'm not a big talker, and I think it's because I didn't feel 100% when I came back. You think you're going to go and you're going to come out and be IGP World Championship? It's not like that. They give you a base layer of theory, and then you have to build on that. So I think what the influence in developing that was obviously having Bart and Michael mentor me and practical experience with so many dogs, because when you're pet dog training, it's dog, dog, dog every week, a new dog. You get dogs in for private training, dogs in for residential training, and you just so many dogs pass through your hands. You can't help but learn. You have to be an idiot not to learn from those dogs.
Right. Well, and I think too that the tools and the boxes and the clacks and all that stuff that we can put these pet dogs in, and that's what Michael and Bart was saying, is like, teach your dog a force fetch just to play around with it, or teach a pet dog force fetch that comes to stay with you. Throw them in that box. What do I have here? And that's the other thing too, is that we're building these Skinner boxes. We're building the stuff that we could put the dog in and operantly condition them, letting them show us exactly what they're capable of and what they want to do, and start to charge that clicker of them. And then says that, by the way, my background is in military, police, working dogs, as well as Belgian ring sport, pet dog training for the past 4 years. I was filming Bart back in the 90s at his club in Belgium. I knew then that the dude was solid. And that's it, man. Is like, look at the track record of this guy. And I like looking at these old videos of him with these dogs back when video cameras weren't on everywhere, and they're grainy 8mm video, and Bart's out there working. I saw one where he's working with a young Michael Ellis. I've seen, just many years ago. And this guy's been in the game for quite a while and has the track record to prove that he knows what he's talking about, and he'll show you his dog.
Michael also has
Michael
very
too.
successful dog training business before she even met Bart.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think the meeting of those two minds has been a great contribution to dog training all over the world.
Amen. And not only that, not only just to dog training, but the dog training tools that we use, because a lot of these other companies are run by engineers, and they put features in these collars or whatever that really aren't applicable, or don't focus on the welfare of the animal, where these guys, that's their foremost consideration as a trainer.
Yeah.
And it's
I think if you're gonna use electric collars, then you really should seriously consider Martin's system, and the guys there are available to talk you through it. The customer service is excellent. Well, so I think if people choose to use electric, and you don't have to use electric, there's nothing saying that you have to. That you can perfectly well train a dog without using an e-collar, but if you're going to use one, then you should use Martin's systems, like you say, for the welfare of the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so many ways that you can use it. It's like, I don't need this iPhone that I have, but I love it. I can use a regular flip phone. It's just a technology that's available. And so you're doing seminars now, and you have one coming up. So anybody in the UK, you're in England, is that where you're going to be doing it?
Yeah, so it's on the 7th and 8th of March. And on the 7th of March, it's going to be all theory, which people always say, oh, can't I bring my dog? They want to do practical both days, but you won't understand the practical day if you don't do the theory day. So I insist that everybody comes to the theory. I don't do any audit spots. You have to work your dog if you come. Or you can come and not work a dog, but you have to come to both days. You have to participate in everything if you want to come. It's an interactive event. It's not just a classroom. You must interact with the whole event.
Let's see if I can save this image of you. And I think that it is important not to just come and just like want your dog to work, right? You have to understand. And not only that, but how many listen to this as I've been shooting these videos of just shaping my dog. How many messages I've got from trainers that are like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Yeah. your timing is way off. Like, you need to, and I'm just like, thank you. I appreciate, the feedback, but I'm just going to continue what I'm doing. And
yes, in the beginning, I had a lot of people give me very helpful feedback, and it is something different as well, being a woman in the dog world. I'm grateful for Michael as a mentor and a coach, because she knows the struggle of being a woman in the dog world, because she is in the shadow of magnificent Bart Bellon, but you know, they're equal in their talents, but because she's a woman, she's Bart's wife. She's not Michael Bellon in her own right, which, even though the year we're in and the state we're in, you'd think that had changed, but it really hasn't. I mean, we were in Germany not long ago, and when we were talking about my dog, people just refusing to believe it was my dog, saying it was my partner's dog.
Really?
And that I just hold the dog. So I think, yeah, I mean, I know Michael full well understands that struggle, obviously, but you even just doing something radical, you get people trying to tell you you're wrong. And then when you're doing something radical and you're a woman, and in the beginning it looks like shit. It looks like shit. I'm surprised you're even posting the videos, because my training in the beginning looked like shit. Looks good now, but it didn't look good.
Bunch, you know, it took a bunch for me to be like, you know what, screw it. Dink, I'm going live, you know.
Yeah, but people are very threatened by the things that they don't understand as well. But nobody's preventing them from understanding other than themselves, because like we said earlier, there's seminars now all over the world and schools regularly. So if you're confused, that's okay. If you don't understand, that's fine. You can go and learn. You don't have to feel cross that you don't understand. Just go and learn. Nobody's stopping you.
Absolutely not. Well, and keep in mind too, the seminars are just a taste of it, but the depth and the scope of the knowledge that you go through in the school is, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, I have to go again because it was so much that I can't wait to go again, just like what you were saying. Being a woman in the working dog sport world is tougher than in the pet dog world. Do you agree?
Yes and no. Yes, because in the working dog world, it's a lot of men, and there's a lot of in protection dogs. Most of the decoys are male, but that doesn't make you any good just because you're a male at decoying. Doesn't make you more knowledgeable in protection dogs than a woman just because you happen to put the bite suit on. But in the pet dog world, it's difficult to be a woman because I don't train force-free, pure positive. So,
but I bet you're assuming when people first see you, they're like, "Oh yeah, she's she's purely positive."
A lot of people say, "Oh, you don't look like a dog trainer," because they've got long blonde hair and lashes and blah blah blah. They say, "Oh, you don't look like a dog trainer." But what is a dog trainer? It's just somebody who's living a lifestyle with dogs. So it's difficult in life, even in this time, to be a woman. But yes, in both the working and the pet world, it's difficult, and people don't necessarily always take you seriously. And even when I show my own dog, they say, "Oh, well, your husband trained that dog."
Yeah, it's so crazy. I love seeing a small framed woman controlling a very high maintenance dog and I've seen some of the best relationships I've ever seen with that dynamic, and it's just, I'm just in awe. I love it. Like, it just does something to me, you know. Anytime
yes, Kim.
Yeah, we get pushback, and this is not the right Kim, I guess. This is a different Kim.
No, it's the wrong Kim. I got you wrong, Kim.
Yeah.
Kim, you're amazing as well.
Yes, I think she's here in the States. I think gender plays no role in being a good dog trainer. I mean, it's not, but it would be mentality. Mentality's still out there if we think otherwise. Time will change that. Look at the female dogs. Look at female dogs, man. Some of the most vicious dogs I've ever met are female, you know, and you wouldn't know just by looking at them. I mean, it might be a little smaller stature, but I mean, and if we look at it, I mean, in the dog world too, like female dogs sometimes have to fight off a male dog, or, you know, that they don't like, that's bigger than them if they're in heat or whatever. You know, it's an interesting dynamic we have as human beings. So,
I think what plays a role in being a good dog trainer is education and grit, perseverance. Some natural talent does help, obviously, timing and things like that.
Experience,
but it's definitely not about gender, and I'm I'm lucky because my partner is so supportive, and yes, we have very clear-cut roles in our company. We have very clear-cut roles. He is the decoy. He does all the bite work and everything that you can imagine that is related to the bite work, including barking, all environmental situations, all that sort of toughening and preparation. That's his side, and then I do the handling and the obedience. But they're not gender-based. That's just how it is. We were both dog trainers in our own right before we did the company, but it's nothing to do with gender. But some people would probably say that that was gender based because I'm not in the suit. But I will put the suit on, but I'm not very good. He's very good, but that would be ridiculous for me to be, feminist and forced to put the suit on for a cause, because it's not that. It's not like I'm a crazy feminist. And if I was, I would do that with the suit. But he's much better than me, much better. He's got tens of thousand hours of practice. So it's not about that. It's just about, it is difficult being a woman and turning up places and talking about dogs, and the men can't take you seriously. I have more women clients, I would say, than men. Definitely.
That's 85% of my clients are women as a pet dog trainer.
Yeah.
And then what can happen if you have somebody that is not a good decoy? What can they do to your dog?
What do you mean? My dog personally, or dogs in general?
Dogs in general. I'm just saying, if you somebody that wasn't a good decoy, jammed up your dog, or there's a lot of things to know to do when you take a bite.
Yes. Health-wise, obviously, if you jam a dog up, you can break the neck.
Yeah.
You can really damage a dog. But I think what most decoys are missing, and what it's the same as what most dog trainers are missing, is that they can't build toughness in the dog. So aside from the obvious things, like a lot of decoys will only teach a forearm bite on one arm, whereas we do all the targets everywhere. A lot of decoys don't understand negative reinforcement, so they don't know how to give and release pressure. They don't know how to give and release pressure in context of whatever the situation is that they're in with the dog. So it's the same. It's the same. I mean, decoying is dog training. It's just physical dog training, isn't it? So it's the same problems worldwide, and it's the same with decoys. Well, I mean, when you've been on the Gold, if you happen to see any bite work, or you get speaking with the decoys on the Gold School, because I know there is some students that are decoys. What you'll see decoying in an entirely new perspective, like seeing with new eyes, like you've seen in your pet dog training, your obedience. When you start to understand bite work, and it took me much longer to understand bite work than it did everything else. When you start to really understand, you'll see biting is not biting. And you see that 95% of the videos out there are crap, to be honest.
Just flash.
It's the same. Yeah, but it's the same with obedience, same with scent work. Most videos of obedience you can see luring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of them, which I don't.
I see it way more now, man. And not only that, but I watch dogs, and I encourage you to look under the surface, not just look at that activity, but look at that dog's body language. Look at the human's body language. Look at if they're doing it with gusto, if that dog, if they make a mistake, if they flatten out, or if they get more motivated, if they get a correction, what happens to them, if the person's even going to do a correction on camera, all that stuff. Take it all in, observe the whole thing. Don't just observe what the outcome that they want you to see is. And a lot of times too, like with the e-collar and stuff, that I see the work that they show what's called a finished dog, and I'm just like, man, that dog is shut down. And it breaks my heart. I mean, but it's also I've been guilty of it, so that's it, what's the best way that people get a hold of you if they want to sign up for your seminars? Here's that image again. Let me see if I can. Is there any information on here for?
So my email address is on there. That's the best way. There's a few forms to fill out if you want to attend.
Gayle Lucy, caninecoach@gmail.com. So let me put that in the Gayle Lucy, canine coach. Lucy, canine coach @gmail.com, right?
Yeah.
You got a puppy acting up over there?
No, it's my guard dog actually telling me there's someone on the property.
Okay.
Different dogs to different jobs.
That's right. And, you know, getting your attention too and making sure, you know, so there you go. So if you guys are interested and if you're in the UK, check her out March 7th and 8th, 2020 coming up. And, you know, I enjoyed
I picked the
having it.
same weekend as
Gold School.
Jazz.
Or Silver, the new Silver.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
I think
And
the
the
new
same
Silver
weekend
is.
as Jazz, you know, from Prime Canine, does GRC, one of the gold students in Australia.
What is he doing?
She is doing a seminar. Yeah, it's a dog sport in Australia. We don't have it here. I don't know too much about it, but I think it's quite centered around canine fitness.
Okay.
She's also doing a seminar that weekend, but we're not clashing, so she's in Australia, so it's fine.
Well, and I want to do a quick announcement of the Silver and Gold schools this year or this coming year. I know that they're filling up, and then I'm going to follow up with the gal that was unable to hear back. I'm going to make sure that Bart and Michael see that message. The 16th through the 20th is when the Gold School will happen here in Missouri. Let me see if I can do an image, drop this out. And remove, add a media here for the new classes. And so we can pull that up onto the screen here. We have the gold or silver in March, and then we're going to have the gold in July. And I've already signed up for this gold too, as well. So March 16th. I'm signing up for everything, man. Like I want to know this
you
stuff
should.
so
That's
well.
what, if everybody was like that, we'd have a much better quality of dog training worldwide. If everybody was so eager to learn. That's
right, and that's it, folks. It's like, look at you're not. This is a lifestyle. It's not just a methodology. It is. And that's what I like about it. And not only that, but by belonging to this network of people, you are considered, you know, one of the best. I mean, you're in the best networks that there are available. Not just learning from them, but following up and being in that network where you can have, you know, a good brain trust to tap into.
Yeah, and I think in the network as well, something people probably don't know is that there's such a variation of dog trainers, guide dog trainers, military trainers, pet dog trainers, people that just do fun obedience. There's so many. Every sector of the dog community is covered within the students. So once you've been to the school and you've learnt this lifestyle, you can then connect with over 100 people who all know what you're talking about and growing. Yeah, and that's without mentioning people that are going to seminars as well, because they're also learning a portion of it. They're not learning the whole thing, but they're learning a portion, and they're willing to understand. They're right to learn because they're making the effort to go and learn. So they're more ripe than someone that wouldn't go to a seminar, for example. But I think it's really expansive how many people are in the network, and I think people maybe don't know that. But yeah,
good solid people, good people like Gayle here, you know,
and people from all over the world as well that you wouldn't normally meet.
That's right. That's right. She's across the pond. I'm here in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
You know. And so, and then, oh yeah, I gotta remember to get that name of the e-collar. So I'll post it down in the comments as soon as I track it down. What was the name of the study again, or what was the name of the guy's site? Do you remember?
It's Go Bobby.
Do you know how to spell it? B-O-B-B-I? Is that Bobby?
B-B-Y.
Bobby.D U or something?
Let me just look it up. I'm sure it's D-E.
D-E, Bobby.de. So yeah, we'll post it up here before we go. Denise says, thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us, Denise. And anybody that's listening right now, please go ahead and share this video. Let's get this information spread far and wide. And
sorry, hold on. I've got it. It's gobobby.be. Belgium, B-E.
Oh, okay. Go Bobby. Is it B-O-B? Here, let me post it up in the comments here. Go Bobby.be.
Yeah.
B-E. Go. Okay, cool.
We got it.
And it looks like it's in German, but I think that there's a translating.
You can translate it on Google also.
Yeah. Just go to Google Translate. But here I'm going to copy and put this in the comments. Just some great studies to refer back to on the beneficial uses of e-collars. And Kim's going to be going to her 4th silver in Missouri. Awesome for you. I look forward to meeting you someday. Nathan says, this was awesome. Thanks, you two. Also, do you have any of those live streams with Keeler style training and hearing their thoughts and stuff? Do you know what? I have Tony Anchetta, the Keeler, the guy that teaches the school, going to be coming live with me this month. So keep an eye out for that, Nathan. And I've been through the Keeler school. It's in Flemish. Okay, yep. I've been through the Keeler school 5 times, or it's something that once I learn a methodology, I want to know it so well that I can teach it. And there are some aspects of Keeler that I had some aha moments about why I was not getting the outcomes that I was. I haven't worked through the NAPOPO system, but I think that as I go forward on this, that my dogs are going to be a lot more flashy than they were in the Keeler. But I look forward to talking to Tony. He's a very knowledgeable person in the history of dogs, and yeah. So
I'll be watching that then.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I have all the Keeler books, all the old ones, and there are certain nuances that that really make this system fair to the dog. But a lot of it is luring too. A lot of it is manipulation. Where
if it works, it works.
That's right. That's right.
So it doesn't work for me. I don't like it, but I know people that do it, and their obedience is better than mine. So
I'll use Keeler with NAPOPO. And not only that, but I was talking to Bart about it. So for instance, let's look at pressure up on the leash. What is that? Negative. Pressure release, positive, and praise, positive. So there's certain aspects that are already NAPOPO in Keeler. It's just taking it to the nth degree. So now when my dog knows to heel, I'll tell him heel, and now I'm going to take the leash and hold him back to do some little negative reinforcement to really, really get him to know that. Now he's fighting to go into that heel. I release him, and now it's like, oh, good boy. Now it's even more love and more. So
I hope you don't say good boy.
Well, sometimes I do.
Stop that shit. Stop it.
Okay, Gayle. I'll stop after a year because it's like just like reflexive. What am I saying here?
Yeah. You need to get a padlock bracelet. Have you seen it?
Well, and good point, Gayle. Because
and every time you say "good boy," give yourself a stimulation. Then you won't do it.
Well, and that's it. Like these are things that are going to alter our behavior, and they're putting these padlocks on kids, and they're getting outstanding results with curbing bad behavior. And it's.
I had one as an alarm.
Did you? Did you like it?
Yeah, it worked. I didn't like it, but it worked. It worked.
Well, that's it. Is always ready to learn too. And that's the other thing too. It's just open minds, open hearts, and I think that with teamwork and cooperation, not so much competition, but there's a huge need in this world for true dog training that is true communication with that animal. And people say, "How will you know that you're a success, Bill?" And I say when I see the dog bite statistics on children going down and the amount of dogs that are being euthanized every year go down. Those are my watermarks that I'm kind of looking at. And that's it, What do you think about today? Are you feeling good about our conversation?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know. Let's wait for the feedback.
Okay.
I'm sure someone will have something to say.
They always do.
As is the dog world.
That's right. Just out of curiosity, why can't we say good boy? Yes, there we go.
Nathan, go to the school and you will know why not to say good boy. It's too much to go into.
Yeah, that's unboxing. But that's even me, old habits die hard. And I can't like even watch the video. You'll see me, good boy, a couple of times, like with Ash, because he's older, and I've really put him through the system.
Don't say it. Just don't say it. Stop saying it. No excuse.
I love it.
Stop.
I love it. So what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? That email and Facebook page. I'll post up a link to both of your business pages. And Gayle, this has been fun, man.
Either of those.
This has been really fun.
It's nice. Thanks. My first live interview.
Good. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to stay on, Gayle. I'm going to say goodbye to you in the studio here, but let's say goodbye to everybody. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody, or Monday if you're in Australia.
Bye, guys.
Check out Gayle's seminar on the 7th and 8th of March. And really quick, we have a good comment here. Best training system that is a system that translates best to the pet dog owners and easiest and gets the best long-standing results. Amen. You know, amen. And that's it. Show me your dog. Show me your dog. So until next time, everybody. Oh yeah, at Bow Wow or my Patreon. I'm so bad about plugging myself. So I'm forming a Patreon page. Let me throw this up here really quick. Patreon.com/Bow Wow Bill. I don't have anything up there right now. I'm just building it, but I wanted to start to plug it here. We're going to have some more content. I'm going to be working my dogs a lot more on the Patreon, private exclusively. If you guys want to see that process, then join at the Patreon. There's going to be lots of levels. I'm going to be offering embroidered sweatshirts and hats for my members, all that good stuff. So please consider joining my Patreon page, and we will see you guys next time I do a live stream. Au revoir.